Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple's virtual Dharma service. We will begin the service this morning with the chanting of the Vandana and Ti-Sarana that's found on page 7 of the Praises of Amida's Virtue book. Please join me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samman sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namanda, 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 namanda. The sutra today is Juseige, which is found on page 54 of the Red Service book. Please join us. Namanda, 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 namanda. Shi Gong Mo Please join me in reciting the Creed number 2, which is found on page 4 of the Red Service book. Casting off the self-power mind of the varied practices and disciplines, we entrust ourselves single-mindedly to Amida Tathagata to save us in regard to the one great matter of birth. With one thought moment of entrusting, we know that we are saved and that our birth is settled. After this, we say the name in joy and gratitude, repaying the Buddha's graciousness. We acknowledge gratefully that we are able to hear and understand this teaching because of the benevolence of our Master having appeared in this world and of the successes in the transmission, the good teachers whose words were not shallow. Beyond this, we will observe the established rules of conduct throughout our lives. Namo Amida Butsu. Let's put our hands together in reverence as I read these words. As I hear the calling voice from the western shore, ever gently urging me on the path I walk, so inspired, so resolute as I make my way. I see bathed in the light, a world of man in peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Well, good morning again, everyone, and welcome to our virtual Sunday service. It's always good to connect with all of you here, and I truly appreciate you for taking the time out of your schedule to view these services and to meet over the internet. Once, not so long ago, we were able to mingle with old and new Sangha friends. We especially appreciate those of you who took the time to welcome our new guests and to make them feel comfortable at our temple. And I miss seeing you, talking to them, sometimes sitting with them and explaining the service order if they are not familiar with it, and also taking the time into the social hall for refreshments. It shows us that we are engaging in the real practice of Buddhism, which is interconnectedness, and is a good example of the illustration of a story from the Kailua Sutra and that of Indra's net. As you may know, it is a mythical net that hangs high above the cosmos, above Mount Sumeru, the highest mythical mountain. If you look at the altar, Amida Buddha is standing on an edifice that represents Mount Sumeru. It is an hourglass-shaped mountain, and you can see it by looking at most of the altars in the Hongwanji. It is not shaped like Mount Fuji, it is a cone, which is a cone-shaped mountain, but it is hourglass-shaped. Indra's net is a metaphor used to illustrate the concept of emptiness, or sunyata, pratitya samutpada, dependent origination, and interpenetration. Far away in the heavenly abode of the great god Indra, there is a wonderful net that has been hung by some cunning artificer in such a manner that it stretches out infinitely in all directions. In accordance with the extravagant taste of the deities, the artificer has hung a single glittering jewel in each eye of the net. And since the net itself is infinite in dimension, the jewels are infinite in number. There hang the jewels, glittering like stars in the first magnitude, a wonderful sight to behold. If we now arbitrarily select one of these jewels for inspection and look closely at it, we will discover that in its polished surface, there are reflected all the other jewels in the net, infinite in number. Not only that, but each of the jewels reflected in this one jewel is also reflecting all the other jewels, so that there is an infinite reflecting process occurring. Along with this teaching in the Kailua Sutra relating to interconnectedness, they talk about the idea of clinging in our daily lives and how it can lead to suffering, much suffering. We say that while it is okay to cling, we must also at some time let go of this. We say that this is the middle path in Buddhism. Holding on to something is okay, but we also have to let go. In Buddhism, we always talk about wisdom and compassion, and we have to do both. We have to care deeply, and then we have to let go. Caring deeply, loving deeply, letting go, and yet deep in our hearts, we never let go, do we? About 20 years ago, my oldest son returned from the mainland to begin practicing with me. I knew that it would be great and at the same time challenging working together with him and my other son in the future. So I had all these ideas about how to run the business side of the practice. Finally, the day came when I fought myself to keep an arm's length away, but it was not easy. Not easy for me, and especially hard for the staff. They kept saying things like, well, your father did it this way and that way, and why do we have to change now? And so forth and so on. So I did talk to them one day and frankly told them that do not compare me with them. It was done this way up to now. But please try to learn their way and let go. Let go of all the things that we did in the past. And you may find that, after all, their way may be better. But by holding on to the past, it creates unhappiness, not only with you, with each other, with the patients as well. And getting back to the thought of interest net, we often discuss the so-called problem of Buddhism and the Sangha. In the Tricycle magazine, a noted Princeton University sociologist estimated the number of people expressing interest in Buddhism is about 12% of the U.S. population. That means that 1 out of 8 houses in any neighborhood is sympathetic to the Buddhist teachings. So why are they not flocking to Buddhist temples? Why people do not attend a temple is a complex issue. There are many factors involved. For one, there are many Buddhist traditions to choose from in one city. And although the situation seems to be improving in general, Shin Buddhism still remains as one of the most invisible traditions in America and is largely unknown outside the Japanese. One of the reasons people are not flocking to temples is what this scholar refers to as Buddhist modernism. You've all heard of someone describing themselves as spiritual but not religious. These people who are interested in developing their inner spirituality, but who are not particularly interested in being affiliated with a religious tradition or institution. Another term that might be used could be nightstand Buddhists, as referred to by Reverend Kenneth Tanaka. These are part of the 12% that, although they don't attend services, they keep a book or two of Buddhist teachings on their nightstands, looking for Buddhist answers to their spiritual questions. Both types of Buddhists are part of what some scholars call Buddhist modernism, and it refers to the way that many Americans are otherwise sympathetic to Buddhism view the teachings as something they can freely appropriate for their own usage without having to belong to any one particular tradition or institution. They view it as a preferred way to practice Buddhism because of suspicions people seem to have today about organized religion in general, or because the exotic or foreign nature of much Buddhist ritual is either intimidating or is simply assumed to be unnecessary for attaining enlightenment. And they frequently dislike rituals which are seen as non-scientific matters of the heart. In contrast to the views of Buddhist modernism, Dr. Nobuo Haneda of the Berkeley Maeda Center looks specifically at the issue of the 3 treasures and seems to have come to the exact opposite conclusion as Buddhist modernists. He sees the Sangha as very significant. In fact, he goes on to say that of the 3 treasures, the Sangha is the most important thing. There is nothing more significant than the Sangha. He said that if a person thinks that they can study Buddhism without a Sangha, or that there can be Buddhism apart from a Sangha, they are greatly mistaken. There is no Buddhism apart from the Sangha. It is only in the Sangha that the Buddha and the Dharma can exist. But Haneda clarifies that the Sangha's importance is that the Sangha means which it is the means through which we study the Dharma. So they can say that Buddhist modernists may be misguided. To back up this statement, Haneda quotes 2 sources, one very ancient and one modern. The ancient source is from Shakyamuni Buddha himself. In the Buddhist canon, he states to Ananda, after Ananda asks, "O Venerable One, when I think carefully, it seems to me that my having good friends and being with them is equivalent to my having already passed the middle milepost of the holy path. What do you think of this view of mine?" And Shakyamuni answers, "Ananda, that is wrong. Such a view is not correct. Ananda, our having good friends and being with them is not equivalent to our having passed the middle milepost of the holy path." Our having good friends and being with them is itself the entire holy path, meaning that having good friends and being with them is everything in Buddhism. Shakyamuni says that there is nothing greater than having a good friend and being with them. It is liberation itself. Apart from it, there is no liberation. In a modern source, Reverend Rijin Yasuda, a student of the Higashi Hongwanji, his scholar, teacher, Ryojin Soga, says that people say various things about birth in the Pure Land, but could there be any greater birth in the Pure Land than the fact that we are now sitting and learning the Dharma together? All of us are selfish and self-centered. We're always thinking about ourselves. Being like that, none of us deserves to be part of the Sangha of such a wonderful tradition as this. But now we are fortunate enough to be a part of it. We are now forgetting our petty selves and are listening to the Dharma. This place where we are sitting and listening to the Dharma together is the Pure Land. Our being allowed to be part of it is birth in the Pure Land. If what Rijin Yasuda says is true, that to be a part of the Sangha that is gathered together to listen to the Dharma is in fact the realization of the Pure Land in this life, then can one experience the Pure Land? Can one reach the other shore of Nirvana at all without being part of the Sangha? And if what Shakyamuni Buddha says to Ananda is true, that the fellowship of the Sangha is not half of, but all of the path. What does this imply about those that label themselves as spiritual but not religious, or as nightstand Buddhists? Again, to quote Haneda, who clarifies that the Sangha is and why it is significant. He says that both Shakyamuni and Reverend Yasuda considers that the Sangha is not a means but the goal. But a mere gathering of people is not a Sangha. The Sangha is a tradition of awakened individuals. Entering the tradition is birth in the Pure Land. There is not a greater goal in Buddhism than that. Well, what does that mean to enter the tradition? Well, the reality is, depending on one's causes and conditions, simply entering and joining the Sangha may in fact be the most difficult thing. We all know people we'd love to see as regulars. They might be friends or family members, but they don't come, or have said that they want to come but don't, and so forth. They are not part of the Sangha in the sense of having truly entered the tradition. But whether or not someone enters the tradition or not is really up to us. Not up to us. All we need to understand is that once this entering is realized, everything becomes easy. A member of the Sangha is effortlessly nurtured and guided to Buddhahood by the power of the aspiration for Buddhahood of their fellow seekers in the Sangha. In the Mahayana tradition, it is the aspiration of all to nurture and guide each other through the wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha to realize this Buddhahood. In Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, we don't have this modern or preferred practice such as in Zen meditation. Instead, our only practice is listening to the Dharma. Because we are Mahayana in tradition, the emphasis is on the Sangha, and that is all important. Because of the truth of interdependence, not only does our personal growth depend on our being part of the Sangha, our growth depends on the growth of our fellow members. Isn't this another way of expressing the Bodhisattva ideal, that I cannot become a Buddha until all beings everywhere become Buddhas? All of you enjoy being a member of our wider Sangha and enjoy listening to the Dharma. By our Sangha, I mean not only our Windward Sangha, but I mean the larger Hongwanji Sangha as well. And we hope that you will all continue to enjoy viewing and listening to the Dharma services everywhere. And if you do, then your enthusiasm, will naturally spread to your fellow Sangha members. Don't you think that a Sangha that sincerely enjoys listening to the Dharma together is all that is needed for a temple to flourish and to thrive? Thank you all for listening, and now will you please join me by putting your hands together once again in reverence. We are all part of the great oneness of life, and so we live with a heart of gratitude. That is the Nembutsu way. Let us all together walk the wonderful Nembutsu path. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Now let's listen to the Gatha Ondokusan in English and Japanese, followed by the Nembutsu. May all beings savor the nectar of loving kindness to overcome thoughts of controlling others, bring forth serenity and the insight to find happiness and harmony. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much for attending this Windward Buddhist Temple's virtual service. Please be safe, keep healthy, and be careful. Bye.